Well folks, gather around because Dutch politics just served up a spicy meatball of drama. Imagine building a magnificent sandcastle, only for one of the chief architects to suddenly kick it over. That's pretty much what happened in the Netherlands. Their coalition government, not even a year old, just collapsed. Poof, gone. It all went down because the far-right leader, Geert Wilders, decided he'd had enough and dramatically walked out. This wasn't just a minor disagreement over cheese preferences, this was a full-blown political implosion. Now when a government collapses, it's not like the country just stops working, but it does mean that big decisions get put on hold and everyone starts looking at each other, wondering who's going to pick up the pieces. The suddenness of it all has sent shockwaves through the normally quite stable world of Dutch politics. Think of it as a very polite, very organized food fight suddenly breaking out at a diplomatic dinner. The man at the head of this short-lived government, Prime Minister Dick Schoof, found himself in the unenviable position of having to go to the king and say, "Your Majesty, it seems we've, broken the government." Schoof, an independent, was supposed to be the steady hand guiding this somewhat unlikely coalition of four parties. Fasten your seatbelts because this political roller coaster in the land of windmills has only just begun its wild ride. To understand this Dutch political drama, you need to know the main characters. First up, Geert Wilders, leader of the Party for Freedom, or PVV, known for his platinum blonde hair and anti-immigration views. After a massive victory in November 2023, he became a key part of the government. Then there's Dick Schoof, the outgoing prime minister, an independent former intelligence chief leading a complex coalition. Think of him as the referee in a tense football match. It's a political soap opera, and these are the stars. So, what was the big unresolvable issue that caused this entire Dutch government to go kaboom? In one word, migration. Or if you want two words, Geert Wilders. Specifically, it was Wilders' unyielding demands for a much stricter immigration policy that the other coalition partners just couldn't stomach. Wilders and his PVV party have been banging this drum for years, and once in government he clearly felt it was time to make his very ambitious plans a reality, no matter the cost to the coalition. Wilders didn't just vaguely ask for tighter borders. Oh no, he came with a detailed 10-point plan that was pretty extreme. We're talking about demands like a complete freeze on all asylum applications. He also wanted to halt the construction of any new reception centers for asylum seekers. Furthermore, his plan included severely limiting family reunification for migrants already in the country. And if that wasn't enough, he even proposed using the army to guard the borders, turning away all asylum seekers at the gates and controversially, sending thousands of Syrians back to their home country. These weren't small tweaks, these were fundamental hardline changes. For the other parties in the coalition, particularly the VVD and NSC, these demands went too far beyond what they had agreed to or what they felt was workable or even humane. And so, the government collapsed under the weight of this single explosive issue. Had come to a dramatic close. As soon as the coalition government hit the deck, the finger-pointing began. It was like a political version of a messy breakup, where everyone insists the other person was entirely at fault. Prime Minister Dick Schoof, the man left to announce the government's resignation, didn't mince his words. He described Geert Wilders' decision to pull out as both irresponsible and unnecessary. You could almost hear the sigh of exasperation in his voice. Here he was, trying to steer this complicated ship, and one of his main crew members just decided to jump overboard, taking a big chunk of the ship with him. Dylan Jesselgaas Zagarius, the leader of the VVD party, was also quick to condemn Wilders. She called his move super irresponsible, which, coming from a fellow right-leaning politician who had agreed to govern with him, packed quite a punch. She accused Wilders of prioritizing his own personal interests, and those of his party, over the interests of the entire country. Mona Keizer, who was deputy prime minister and a member of the BBB party, went even further, accusing Wilders of nothing less than betraying the Netherlands. Her party leader, Caroline van der Plas of the BBB, also chimed in with a memorable soundbite stating, "The Netherlands does not like quitters." Of course, Geert Wilders himself sees things very differently. From his perspective, he was standing on principle and fulfilling his campaign promises. New, fractured landscape. Section 7. Wilders' Way. His plan, his ambition, his hair. Geert Wilders, the man who single-handedly brought down the Dutch government, isn't exactly hiding in a corner feeling remorseful. Quite the opposite. He's out there defending his decision loud and proud. He argues that he was forced to act because the coalition wasn't delivering on the tough immigration policies his voters demand. And he's not just content with having caused a political earthquake, he has his eyes on the top job. Wilders has openly expressed his ambition to become the next Prime Minister of the Netherlands, hoping this bold move will galvanize his base and expand the PVV's influence even further. To understand Wilders' actions, you have to understand his political brand. For decades, the 61-year-old politician from Venlo has been known for his staunchly anti-Islam and anti-migration views. His 2023 election manifesto was a clear reflection of this, including controversial proposals like banning mosques, Islamic schools, and the Quran, as well as stopping all non-Western immigration and implementing a general asylum freeze. These are not subtle policy tweaks, they are radical departures from mainstream Dutch politics. So what's his endgame? Clearly to win big in the upcoming snap elections and then try to form a government where his PVV plays an even more dominant role, ideally with him as Prime Minister. Whether this gamble pays off, or whether voters see him as a destabilizing force who can't be trusted in a coalition, remains the million-euro question. Section 8. Ripple Effects. Dutch drama hits Europe's stage. This Dutch political meltdown isn't just a local affair, it sends ripples beyond the Netherlands' borders, especially within the European Union. First off, the timing is pretty awkward. The Netherlands is scheduled to host a major NATO summit in The Hague just 3 weeks from now. Having your government collapse right before you welcome leaders from across the military alliance doesn't exactly scream stability and control. It's like inviting everyone over for a huge party and then your house floods the day before. Economically, the immediate impact might be somewhat muted. The truth is, this coalition government was so new, just 11 months in power, that it hadn't really had time to implement any major concrete economic plans. However, prolonged political instability is never good for business confidence or long-term investment. Markets prefer predictability, and a caretaker government followed by months of election campaigning and coalition wrangling is the opposite of that. More broadly, this whole episode highlights the ongoing political volatility across Europe, particularly concerning the contentious issue of migration. Wilders' actions, and the reasons behind them, will resonate with similar movements and concerns across the continent. It's a cautionary tale about the complexities of coalition politics in an era of rising populism. Section 9. The road ahead, more bumps than a Dutch country lane? The Dutch government has collapsed after less than a year. Geert Wilders pulled his party out over a migration policy dispute, leading to the Prime Minister's resignation. The Netherlands is now navigating choppy political waters. A caretaker government will manage until snap elections likely in the autumn. Forming a new coalition government will be long and complex. The political landscape is volatile with divided opinions. Stay tuned, folks, because this story is far from over.